Have you ever noticed how heavy your own thoughts can feel? Not the ones that inspire you, but the ones that whisper, "Why me? Why is life so unfair?" There's a strange comfort in that question. It feels like a blanket you can wrap yourself in. But here's the problem: that blanket is made of chains. The longer you hold on to it, the tighter it binds you. And what's worse is that while you sit inside that mental prison, the world outside keeps moving. The truth is, the universe will not stop and wait for you to feel ready. The clock won't pause until you're done grieving over your misfortune. And opportunities, they don't knock twice just because you're still feeling sorry for yourself. Self-pity feels comfortable because it gives you a reason to stop trying. It tells you, you've been hurt enough, you deserve to rest here. It whispers that you're the victim of life's unfairness, that you're justified in doing nothing because the world has done enough to you already. It makes you feel as if your inaction is noble, as if the weight you carry is proof of your strength. But here's the truth: self-pity is not your friend. And not just any thief. It's the kind that steals in silence, without you even realizing the damage it's done until years have passed. It steals your time first, time you could have spent learning, growing, building, time you could have invested in building a life that makes your past pain irrelevant. But instead, it keeps you sitting in the same place, replaying the same story. You tell yourself the same narrative so often that it becomes your identity. And the more you repeat it, the harder it is to imagine any other story could be true for you. That is how it steals your identity, by convincing you that you are nothing more than the worst thing that ever happened to you. Then it steals your energy. You think you're resting, recovering, regaining strength. But self-pity doesn't give strength, it drains it. You spend hours thinking about what went wrong, about how unfair life has been. You relive every insult, every loss, every betrayal in your mind, like a movie on repeat. And each replay is like pouring sand into the gears of your soul, slowing you down, making it harder to move forward when you finally decide you want to. The worst part, it steals your clarity. Because when you are lost in self-pity, you can't see reality for what it is. You only see the version of reality that supports your suffering. Every event becomes proof that life is against you. Every challenge becomes an excuse to stop. Every criticism becomes confirmation that you're not good enough. And because you see the world through that filter, you miss opportunities that were right in front of you. Think about that for a moment. How many chances in your life might you have already missed because you were too busy feeling sorry for yourself to notice them? How many people might have been willing to help you, but you didn't trust them because you assumed they'd hurt you too? How many doors might you have walked through if you had just been looking up instead of staring at your own wounds? You see, the tragedy of self-pity is not that it exists, that it tricks you into thinking you have all the time in the world. It convinces you that you can stay in this state until you feel ready to move. But readiness never comes, because readiness is not something you wait for, it's something you create. There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize that self-pity doesn't care about fairness. It doesn't care about justice. It doesn't care about whether you were right or wrong. It only cares about keeping you still, because as long as you're still, you're safe from new risks, new failures, new pain. But you're also safe from new growth, new victories, new joy. And here's the harsh truth: if you let self-pity keep you safe, you will wake up one day and realize that safety has cost you your entire life. You will realize that all the years you thought you were protecting yourself were actually the years you were letting yourself fade. The only way to stop that thief is to close the door on it. And that door is closed the moment you choose responsibility over resentment. You can't stop bad things from happening. You can't rewrite the past, but you can stop letting the past decide who you get to be tomorrow. This is not about pretending you're not hurt. It's not about ignoring your pain. It's about refusing to hand over your life to that pain. Feel it, acknowledge it, learn from it. But don't make it your home. Don't let it be the place you live when you have the entire world to explore. Because here's the reality: the world will not pause for you. The opportunities will not slow down to match your pace. The people you admire, the ones who've achieved what you wish you could achieve, they've all had moments where life knocked them down harder than they thought they could handle. But they didn't stay there. They didn't hand over their future to self. They recognized the thief for what it was and shut the door before it could steal more. The question is, will you? You might feel like life has taken too much from you already. But what if the truth is that life hasn't taken nearly as much as you've allowed self-pity to take? What if, starting now, you decided that it doesn't get to take another second? You can start small, one step, one choice, one action that says, I may not be where I want to be, but I refuse to stay where I am. That's all it takes to start turning the tide. Self-pity will try to pull you back. It always does. But every time you act despite it, you weaken its grip. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the thief is gone. You've reclaimed your time, you've rebuilt your energy, you've sharpened your clarity, and most importantly, you've taken your life back. That is when you'll finally understand that self-pity never protected you. It only imprisoned you, and you'll wonder why you didn't break free sooner. Pain will find you whether you invite it or not. It doesn't care about your schedule, your dreams, or the careful plans you've made. It shows up in many forms: the loss of someone you love, the betrayal of someone you trusted, the collapse of something you built with your own hands. It can come from the world, or it can come from within. And when it does, it feels like the ground beneath you has vanished. In that moment, the easiest thing to do is to stop moving, to curl inward, to build a mental cell, and lock yourself inside it. You tell yourself you're protecting your heart, but really you're letting pain become your prison. And if you're not careful, you'll start decorating that prison. You'll start getting comfortable in it. You'll tell yourself that it's safer in here, that out there is too dangerous, too unpredictable. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Pain was never meant to be a prison. Pain was meant to be a teacher. A teacher doesn't make lessons comfortable. A teacher pushes you into places you would never go on your own. Pain does the same thing. It reveals where you're vulnerable. It shows you where your strength is still untested. It points to the areas of your life where you've been pretending to be unbreakable, but where you're actually fragile. If you treat pain as a teacher, every wound becomes a classroom. The heartbreak teaches you about your capacity to love and your ability to rebuild that capacity even when you think it's gone. The failure teaches you about humility, about patience, about the difference between trying and truly committing. The disappointment teaches you about your expectations and about how to live without needing the world to constantly meet them. But if you treat pain as a prison, you stop learning. Instead of looking at what the pain is showing you, you only look at what it has taken from you. You stare at the closed doors instead of searching for the ones that just opened. You become so obsessed with avoiding more hurt that you avoid the very experiences that could heal you. Some people carry pain like a trophy, showing it to anyone who will look, rehearsing the story over and over, as if telling it will change it. But the more you relive it, the deeper it buries itself in you. The wound stays open, raw, and you're not healing, you're rehearsing your suffering. The truth is, pain's value only appears when you're willing to face it directly. Avoiding it makes it louder, pretending it doesn't exist makes it sharper, and hiding from it gives it power over you. But when you look it in the eye and ask, "What are you here to teach me?" something changes. Suddenly pain stops being the thing that holds you down and starts being the thing that shapes you. Think of the strongest people you know, the ones who seem unshakable, not because nothing bad has happened to them, but because they've been through storms and refuse to stay broken. Ask them about their past, and you'll notice something. They don't just talk about what happened, they talk about what they learned. They turned every scar into a story that guides them forward. There's a reason for that. Pain has a strange way of stripping life down to its essentials. It shows you what really matters. It teaches you who you can trust. It reveals the habits, the relationships, and the beliefs that no longer serve you. It doesn't just hurt, it cleanses. And yes, that cleansing is brutal, but it's also necessary. If you've ever been in deep physical training, You know that the muscle doesn't grow until it's been broken down. That small tear is necessary for new strengths to be built. Pain in life works the same way. It tears apart your illusions, your ego, your false sense of control. But if you let it, it also rebuilds you stronger than you were before. The danger is in mistaking that tearing for destruction. If you believe pain has destroyed you, you'll never let the rebuilding process happen. You'll sit among the ruins and call it your life. But if you believe pain is shaping you, you'll start stacking the bricks again, this time with more wisdom, more resilience, and a clearer vision of what you want to build. One day you will look back on your life and realize that the most important lessons you learned didn't come from the moments you were comfortable. They came from the nights you thought you couldn't get through. They came from the losses that left you on your knees. They came from the moments when you had to decide whether to stay down or stand back up. And when you see it that way, pain stops feeling like a punishment. It becomes part of your training. Every setback, every wound, every tear in your heart is a session in the gym of life. You either let it make you weaker, or you let it make you unbreakable. So the next time pain knocks on your door, don't run from it. Don't lock it outside. And don't pretend you can't hear it. Open the door and invite it in. But not to invite it in to teach you what you need to know, and then show it the way out. Because the truth is, pain is not here to break you, it's here to build you. And the sooner you stop treating it like a prison guard, and start treating it like a mentor, the sooner you'll discover a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. The one who was forged in fire but walks out stronger than ever. There is a moment in life when you realize no one is coming. Not the person you hoped would help you, not the friend you counted on, not the miracle you thought might show up at the last second. It's not because the world is cruel or because people don't care. It's because this life was never designed for someone else to carry your weight. At first, this truth feels cold. It feels like abandonment. You might think, if no one is coming to save me, then what's the point? What hope is there? But that's the misunderstanding. The absence of a savior isn't the end of hope. It's the beginning of power. The moment you realize no one is coming is the same moment you realize you don't have to wait. You can move now. You can take control now. You can stop standing by the door waiting for help to arrive. And you can start walking toward the life you want. Responsibility often gets mistaken for a burden, something heavy that life throws on your back. But responsibility, when you truly understand it, is freedom. Because the opposite of responsibility is dependence. And dependence means waiting. Waiting for someone to decide you're worth helping. Waiting for circumstances to improve. Waiting for permission to act. Responsibility ends all of that waiting. When you take responsibility, you're no longer at the mercy of the people around you. You're no longer chained to their choices, their moods, their willingness to show up. You stop saying, I can't, because they didn't. And you start saying, I can, because I will. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. It means that the outcome of your life is no longer determined by how much help you receive. It's determined by how much ownership you take. That's a shift so powerful it can change the trajectory of everything you do. Think of the times in your life when you blamed someone else for where you were. Maybe it was a parent who didn't give you the start you needed, a partner who left you when you needed them most, a boss who never saw your potential. It's natural to feel wronged when people fail you. But here's the hard truth. Blaming them changes nothing. They go on with their lives, while you stay stuck in the same place, replaying the injustice. Responsibility is not about pretending the wrong didn't happen. It's about refusing to let that wrong have the final say. It's about deciding, yes, they did that to me, but I will decide what happens next. The moment you make that choice, you've taken the steering wheel of your own life back into your hands. Some people resist responsibility because it feels like admitting fault. But responsibility isn't about fault. It's about response. You may not be responsible for how you got knocked down, but you are responsible for how you get back up. You may not be responsible for the storm that hit your life, but you are responsible for how you navigate through it. And here's the thing about responsibility. It's not just about action. It's about identity. When you see yourself as the one in charge of your life, your decisions change, your habits change. You stop looking for easy exits and start looking for the right path, even if it's hard. You stop measuring your life by what's being done to you and start measuring it by what you've done with what you had.
There's a deep peace that comes with this shift. When you stop expecting someone else to fix things, you stop feeling disappointed when they don't. You stop living in resentment. You realize that the only person you have to rely on, the only person who truly understands your vision for your life, is you. And instead of seeing that as lonely, you see it as empowering. You become the kind of person who says, if I fail, it's on me. If I succeed, it's on me. Either way, I own it. And that kind of ownership changes everything. Because when you own your life completely, you also own your growth. You start to see challenges as tests of your strength, instead of proof of your weakness. People will still come into your life. Some will help you, some will guide you, some will walk alongside you for a time, but they are allies, not saviors. You will value them more because you don't depend on them to carry you. And when they leave, because at some point, everyone does, you won't crumble. You'll keep walking. This is what responsibility does. It makes you unshakable. It gives you the kind of stability that isn't based on who is standing beside you, but on the ground you've built under your own. So if you've been waiting for the right timing, waiting for the right person, waiting for life to finally give you a break, stop. No one is coming. And that's not the bad news. That's the best news you'll ever hear. Because it means you don't have to wait another second to. You can decide today that your life belongs entirely to you. The victories, the failures, the lessons, the scars, all of it. And once it's yours, fully yours, you will never again wonder if someone else will show up to save you. You will know that you've been the one holding the key the entire time. Self-pity is a trap, because it keeps you still. It convinces you that sitting with your thoughts, replaying your pain, and feeling sorry for yourself is somehow productive, as if by thinking about your suffering long enough, something will magically change. But the truth is, nothing changes in stillness except your spirit, and it changes for the worse. The mind is like water. When it moves, it's fresh, clear, and full of life. When it sits stagnant, it becomes cloudy, heavy, and toxic. Self-pity is stagnation. It keeps you swirling in the same dark thoughts, until you can't tell the difference between reality and the story you keep telling yourself. The longer you sit in that state, the heavier your feet feel when you try to take a step. But there is a cure for stagnation, and it's not waiting for the right moment or the perfect plan. The cure is movement. Any movement, action, is the great dissolver of suffering, because it interrupts the endless cycle of negative thought. When you act, you redirect your energy from internal collapse to external creation. It doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Sometimes the first action is as simple as standing up when you want to stay lying down, washing a single dish, going for a short walk, writing a single sentence in a journal. These actions may seem insignificant, but they are like cracks in the walls of the prison self-pity has built around you. Through those cracks, light starts to come in. Action changes your chemistry. It forces your body to wake up, your senses to engage, and your mind to focus on something other than your suffering. You begin to experience small wins, and those wins build momentum. You might start with one push-up and end with. You might make one phone call and end up with an opportunity you didn't see coming. The most dangerous thing about inaction is that it makes you believe you have no options. Action reminds you that you do. The moment you take even the smallest step, you break the illusion that you are powerless. You may still feel pain, but you also feel movement, and movement is hope in disguise. When you act, you start to see problems differently. A challenge you once thought was impossible begins to look like something you can work around. You stop focusing on the size of the mountain and start focusing on the next step you need to take. And step by step, you discover that you are capable of more than you ever gave yourself credit for. There's also something powerful about the discipline that comes with consistent action. Discipline is like armor. It protects you from slipping back into the old patterns that kept you stuck. It gives you structure when your emotions try to pull you into chaos. The days you feel like doing nothing are the days discipline matters most, because showing up anyway proves to yourself that your actions are not controlled by your feelings. This is why action is not just a way out of self-pity, it's a way to build resilience. Each time you act despite feeling low, you strengthen a muscle inside you. Over time, that muscle becomes so strong that self-pity can knock on your door all at once, but it won't find you lying there helpless. It will find you moving. Of course, action won't erase pain instantly. It won't make your past disappear, but it will stop your pain from becoming your identity. It will keep you from confusing the wound you have with the person you are. You can hurt and still move forward. You can grieve and still build something new. The two are not mutually exclusive. And here's the thing. The longer you stay in motion, the less you feel like you're running away from pain, and the more you feel like you're running towards something better. At first, action feels like survival. Then it starts to feel like freedom. Eventually it becomes joy, because you're no longer living in reaction to what's happened to you. You're living in creation of what comes next. So, if you're stuck right now, if every part of you wants to sit and drown in the weight of your own thoughts, start small. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait to feel ready. Read one page of a book, do 10 squats, drink a glass of water, call one person, open your window and let the light in. It may feel pointless at first, but every action you take is a statement to yourself. I am not finished. I am not powerless. I am still here. Those statements, repeated through movement, start to rewrite a story in your mind. One day you'll look back at this moment and realize it wasn't the day you stopped hurting. It was the day you started moving, despite the hurt. And that was the day everything began to change. Because the truth is, action doesn't just dissolve suffering, it transforms it into strength. And when you reach that point, self-pity will no longer have a home to return to, because you'll be too busy building something better. Maybe your past is heavier than you can explain. Maybe there are chapters of your life you can't read out loud without your voice shaking. Maybe you've made mistakes that still burn in your memory. Or maybe life has been unfair to you in ways no one else could possibly understand. It's easy to look at all of that and believe the story is already written, that whatever you are now is the sum total of what you've been through. But here's the truth. Your story isn't over, it's still being written. And the pen is in your hand. Too often, people act as if the past is a verdict, a final judgment they can never appeal. They treat their history like a prison sentence. They say, this happened to me so this is who I am now. But that's a choice. The past can be a place of reference, or it can be a place of residence. And the difference between the two is whether you believe you have the power to turn the page. The story you tell yourself is the most powerful force in your life. If you tell yourself you are broken, you will move like a broken person. If you tell yourself you are a failure, you will see every setback as proof. But if you tell yourself, I am unfinished, suddenly the door opens. Suddenly there is room for growth, for redemption, for becoming someone your past wouldn't recognize. The truth is, the greatest transformations don't come from people who had a perfect story from the beginning. They come from people who decided to take control of the next chapter. They stopped letting yesterday's pain dictate tomorrow's choices. They refused to let the past be the author of their future. Every moment you are alive, you are given the chance to rewrite your direction, and that choice is available to you right now in this very breath. You can decide that the chapter you're in is not the one you want to end. You can decide that what came before was simply the setup for something extraordinary. Think of all the people who have inspired you, the ones whose stories you admire. Many of them didn't start from victory. They started from failure, heartbreak, disaster. The reason their stories move you is because they didn't stop there. They turned the lowest points of their lives into turning points. You have that same power. The question is whether you will use it. One of the most dangerous lies we tell ourselves is that it's too late. Too late to change, too late to start again, too late to be different. But time doesn't work that way. As long as you're still breathing, there is still room for a plot twist. Some of the most remarkable chapters are written near the end of the book. Of course, turning the page isn't always easy. It means letting go of the old narrative, and the old narrative is familiar. Even if it's painful, it's what you know. Moving forward means embracing the discomfort of uncertainty. But that discomfort is proof you're alive. Proof you're still moving, still capable of growth. You might not be able to erase what happened to you, but you can make it matter different. The same event that could have been the end of your story can become the reason you're stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The same wound that could have defined you can become the mark that reminds you what you've survived. And maybe that's the point. Maybe your story isn't supposed to be about perfection. Maybe it's supposed to be about persistence. Maybe it's supposed to show that even when the odds are against you, you keep turning the page until you reach a chapter worth living. If you keep moving forward, one day you'll look back and realize that the part of your life you once thought would destroy you became the most important turning point of all. You'll see that the ending you feared was really just the beginning of a different story, one you had the courage to write, The pen is in your hand now, not in the hands of the people who hurt you, not in the hands of the mistakes you made, not in the hands of fate, luck, or chance. In your hands, and every single day you wake up you're faced with a choice. Keep writing the same chapter, or start a new one. If you've been waiting for a sign that it's time to move on, this is it. This is your reminder that you are not finished, that there is more to you than what has happened to you, that your best chapter might still be ahead, if you have the courage to turn the page. So write something worth reading, live something worth remembering, make your future self look back in awe, and say, I can't believe we made it here, because you will, and when you do, you'll know that your story was never over, it was only waiting for you to take control of the ending.